How one woman changed everything. Before we dive into this amazing story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from. The air inside Burger Junction buzzed with the usual Saturday night rush. The smell of sizzling burgers and crispy fries filled the place, mixing with the sound of chatter and clinking plates. Behind the counter, Sarah wiped her forehead with the back of her hand, balancing a heavy tray of food. Her feet ached, her shoulders were stiff, but she kept moving. There was no time to stop. At the other end of the counter, Lisa and Tom leaned lazily against the register, laughing and chatting. They only perked up when a man in a fancy suit walked in, flashing a gold watch. "I got this one," Lisa said quickly, straightening her uniform with a fake smile. Sarah bit her tongue. She'd seen this before. Some customers got treated like royalty, while others were ignored if they didn't look important. It wasn't fair, but speaking up meant trouble, and Sarah couldn't afford to lose this job. Then the door opened again. A middle-aged man walked in, dressed simply in a button-up shirt and dark slacks. He stood quietly waiting, but no one moved to help him. Lisa glanced at him, then turned back to the man with the gold watch. Tom pretended to be busy refilling ketchup bottles. Even the manager, Mike, barely looked his way before walking off. Sarah clenched her jaw. This wasn't right. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward. "Good evening, sir. Welcome to Burger Junction. What can I get for you?" The man turned to her, studying her for a moment, then smiled. "Well," he said, his voice calm, "it's nice to finally be noticed." The next morning, Sarah walked into work, her stomach twisting with nerves. Something felt off. The air was tense. Mike stood near the register, arms crossed, his eyes sharp. Lisa and Tom whispered nearby, smirking when they saw her. Before she could even clock in, Mike called her into his office. "Sarah," he said, his voice cold, "we're letting you go. Effective immediately." Her heart dropped. "What? Why?" Mike shrugged. "Budget cuts." Nothing personal. But Sarah knew the truth. She'd been fired for helping that man, for doing the right thing. That night, sitting on her worn-out couch, Sarah felt lost. Rent was due soon. Her brother, Alex, was counting on her to help with his college bills. She had no idea what to do next. Then her phone rang. An unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. "Good evening, Sarah," a deep, steady voice said. "This is Daniel Hartman. We met yesterday at Burger Junction." Sarah's breath caught. The man she'd helped. "I assume you're no longer employed there?" he asked. She swallowed. "No. I'd like to hear why." So she told him everything. How Mike had ignored him. How Lisa and Tom had laughed. How she'd stepped in, and how she'd been fired the next day. Daniel listened quietly. Then, "Meet me tomorrow morning. I have a proposal for you." The next day, Sarah sat across from Daniel in a quiet cafe. He stirred his coffee slowly, then looked up. "Let me introduce myself properly," he said. "I'm the owner of Burger Junction." Sarah's eyes widened. "I visit my restaurants in disguise sometimes," he continued, "to see how things really run. And what I saw at your location was disappointing." He leaned forward. "But you treated me with respect, not because you thought I was important, but because it was the right thing to do. That tells me everything I need to know." Then he slid a business card across the table. "I want you to come back to Burger Junction," he said. "Not as a waitress. As the manager." Sarah's heart raced. "Manager? Her?" Daniel smiled. "Take the night to think about it. But if you're ready to stop taking orders and start giving them, I'll be waiting." 2 days later, Sarah walked back into Burger Junction, wearing a manager's uniform. The room fell silent. Lisa froze, her rag hovering mid-wipe. Tom's mouth dropped open. And Mike, his face turned red with rage. "What the hell is this?" he snapped. Sarah held her ground. "I'm the new manager." Mike turned to Daniel, who had just walked in. "You can't be serious. You're replacing me with her?" Daniel didn't blink. "Yes." Mike laughed bitterly. "You think she can run this place better than me?" Daniel's voice was ice cold. "I know she can." Then, "Mike, you're fired." The words hung in the air. Mike's fists clenched. He turned to Sarah, his eyes burning with hate. "You think you've won? You're nothing." Sarah didn't flinch. "This place deserves better than you." With a final glare, Mike stormed out, slamming the door behind him. The weeks that followed weren't easy. Lisa and Tom tested her at every turn, slowing down orders, messing up food, trying to make her fail. But Sarah didn't back down. She worked harder, fixed mistakes, and showed the staff what real leadership looked like. Then she discovered the truth. Someone was sabotaging the restaurant. Orders were being changed. Customers were being overcharged. And when she checked the records, it was Tom's login. She confronted him. Tom finally cracked. "It wasn't just me," he admitted. "Mike's behind this. He's paying people to make you fail." Sarah's stomach twisted. Mike wasn't just gone, he was fighting back. The next morning, Sarah called a staff meeting. "I know what's been happening," she said, her voice steady. "And it stops now." She showed them the proof, the altered orders, the fake charges. One by one, employees who'd been involved confessed. Lisa, however, refused to back down. "You're all pathetic," she sneered before storming out. Daniel, who had been watching quietly, stepped forward. "Anyone else who was part of this, pack your things. You're done." Then he turned to Sarah. "This place is yours now. Do with it what you will." A month later, Burger Junction was thriving. The staff worked as a team. Customers returned, happy with the fair treatment. Even Tom, who'd been given a second chance, was trying his best. One evening, Daniel called Sarah back to the cafe. "You've done better than I ever expected," he said. "So let me ask you, have you ever thought about managing more than one location?" Sarah's heart skipped. "You mean?" Daniel smiled. "I want you to oversee multiple Burger Junction stores. Not just this one." Sarah sat back, stunned, from waitress to regional manager, all because she'd stood up for what was right. Moral of the story: power doesn't come from a title, it comes from courage. Sarah started as an overlooked waitress, but by standing up for what was right, she didn't just change her life, she changed an entire system. No matter how small you feel, never underestimate the power of doing the right thing, because sometimes kindness and integrity are the strongest weapons of all. What about you? Have you ever been in a situation where you had to fight for what's right? Let's talk in the comments. And if you love the story of redemption and second chances, don't forget to subscribe for more. Where are you watching from? Drop your city below. We'd love to say thanks.